National analyst R.J. Young, who covers the Oklahoma Sooners and has a YouTube channel on it. By the way, last week we talked about him on our show because he talked about how Tennessee is going to be a revenge game for Oklahoma. And he made some comments about Tennessee, and we addressed them. But R.J. Young this week, and his podcast is called Adapt and Respond with R.J. Young. With Adapt and Respond with R.J. Young, excuse me. He praised Josh Heupel last week on the show, and he told a story. And he said when he was new at Oklahoma, covering them for rivals, he said this was back when Oklahoma had Trevor Knight. And he said they were going to an offense that was featuring 11 and 12 personnel, and they were doing some things like zone reads that he just didn't think was cool or would work. Now, this is an interesting leak. This is an interesting leak into a detail, but it's something that's worth mentioning. The leak is that he's telling the story of Josh Heupel having an offense forced on him that Josh Heupel didn't want. The whole reason for the 11 and 12 personnel back then was that Bob Stoops wanted Josh Heupel to add in the zone reads for Trevor Knight to try to turn Trevor Knight into Johnny Manziel and abandon his air raid. And Josh Heupel didn't want that, and then Josh Heupel got scapegoated when it didn't work out. So when R.J. Young said he asked him football questions, he said he asked Josh Heupel one time, quote, "Hey, he's not really reading that mesh. He's not really reading that in. What are you coaching him on?" And he said Josh Heupel would take the time to say, "Hey, look, sometimes it's feel, sometimes it's getting guys reps. He's running something we didn't ask him to run before we got here. We're going slow." He says, quote, "Josh didn't have to take the time to explain to me why his offense was suffering or not suffering. And it certainly came on later that year, but he did. And anytime that a person is nice to you when they don't have to be, it shows you their character and who they are. There are a lot of things that are going to be said about Josh Heupel. There are a lot of things that could probably change about Josh Heupel. But that aura that he has is one of honesty, authenticity, and sincerity. We need more of that in college football." R.J. Young, to his credit, without meaning to, just revealed why Josh Heupel says nothing at Tennessee and is extremely cagey. And bank on it, brought to you by a commercial bank, member FDIC, Josh Heupel will never open up again.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
R.J. Young is describing Josh Heupel as the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma in 2014, and he is praising Josh Heupel for taking the time to explain football talk offensively to a reporter at Rivals. What happened to Josh Heupel later that year? Josh Heupel was canned. He was scapegoated by Bob Stoops in two ways. Bob Stoops scapegoated him to protect Mike Stoops, his defensive coordinator, who was doing a horrible job at Oklahoma. Also scapegoated him for the offense not doing what they expected and refusing to acknowledge the reason the offense wasn't doing what they expected was because Bob Stoops tried to force the offense that was run for Johnny Manziel onto Josh Heupel and tried to force Josh Heupel, who didn't understand that offense, to force it onto Trevor Knight, who was not a quarterback equipped to run that offense. And so Josh Heupel was, it sounds like, being very open about things at that time and talking to reporters. And maybe that's why he was fired. Maybe Josh Heupel was trying to explain this offense to reporters and Bob Stoops didn't want it getting out that Josh Heupel was potentially going to make Bob Stoops look bad for forcing this offense on him. Josh Heupel, for whatever reason, though, that's not the Josh Heupel we know at Tennessee, those of us who cover him. At Tennessee, Josh Heupel says a lot without saying anything. He's not going to break down his offense. He's not going to do that for you. He is going to run his offense. He's going to be very cagey about it. It's what Dave always says. Heupel's paranoid, and he's been paranoid for a reason. And I think a big reason is because it looks like Josh Heupel's honesty was last seen in 2014. So here's what's happening. Josh Heupel was an honest offensive coordinator in 2014 who spoke with the media and explained the offense to the media. Then he got fired unfairly by the head coach. And ever since then, he hasn't been someone who opens up about the offense. I firmly believe that's the case. And after getting fired and getting his career restarted at Missouri, he stayed first Utah State, then Missouri. He stayed cagey about the offense. And while staying cagey, he has risen from offensive coordinator at Missouri to head coach at UCF to head coach at Tennessee. Things have worked out for him pretty well. And think about what Josh Heupel said. He said, again, this is about why Trevor Knight's not reading the zone offense that was forced on him that Josh Heupel didn't want in 2014. And for those who are curious, we have a whole breakdown of this from an Oklahoma reporter about why Josh Heupel did not stay at Oklahoma, why he was really fired. And John Hoover breaks down exactly why he was fired. He was covering Josh Heupel in Oklahoma at the time, and he breaks down exactly how Josh Heupel was railroaded by Bob Stoops. We did that back in September of last year, the week Tennessee was set to play Oklahoma. I'm actually sharing the link to the video right now if you guys want to take a look at it. It fully breaks down how Josh Heupel was scapegoated and set up by Oklahoma, okay, and Bob Stoops. And it sounds like Josh Heupel knew he was being set up and was talking to reporters because, again, he was straight up saying, Trevor Knight's running something we didn't ask him to run before he got here. We're going slow. That's Josh Heupel acknowledging that we're forcing a new offense on him. Now, what's not being told is Josh Heupel was forced to force that new offense on him. Now, let's not forget this for a minute. This is what's so crazy about it, okay? Oklahoma in 2012 got Johnny footballed. They got wrecked by Johnny Manziel and Texas A&M 41-13. That was 2012. They stick with the Heupel offense in 2013. The offense Heupel wants to run. And they finish 11-2, and they beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. They enter 2014 number 4. Why would Bob Stoops want to switch to the Manziel offense after 2013 and not after 2012 when his team got wrecked? That was a desperate thing because he got so wide-eyed by what Johnny Manziel was able to do even in the next year in 2013. Okay, he saw it succeed 2 years in a row, and he wanted to run it. And that's why Oklahoma went from 11-2 to 8-5 because things fell apart. By the way, for the record, in their 4 regular season losses, they lost 33, 30, and 35. In their 4 regular season losses, in 3 of them, they scored 33 points, 30 points, and 35 points. And then they lost 40-6 to Clemson in the Russell Athletic Bowl, but I don't think they cared about that game. I bring all that up to say Josh Heupel, who was co-offensive coordinators with Jay Norvell at the time, was completely scapegoated for how that happened. And this revelation by RJ Young shows that Josh Heupel was being punished for being honest and open with the media in a way that is proper, in a way that should happen. And that's why he's not as honest and open with Tennessee now, because of what happened to him when he was offensive coordinator of Oklahoma. I firmly believe that. And it really speaks to Bob Stoops' character, if we're being honest, that Bob Stoops was willing to scapegoat Josh Heupel like that for an offense that Bob Stoops forced on him, that Josh Heupel didn't want to run, and Stoops should have known was not a good fit for Trevor Knight. And also Stoops, as a defensive guy, should never have been that type of coach to make those type of decisions. He should have let Josh Heupel run the show. Completely unfair that he didn't. He was railroaded. And RJ Young is praising Josh Heupel for something. The irony, the root of this is RJ Young is praising Josh Heupel for something that Josh Heupel doesn't do anymore. And it's probably connected because the time Josh Heupel did that with RJ Young was the year he got fired as an offensive coordinator for something that wasn't his fault.